Hey guys, tonight's show is all about Disney's take their classic movies and making them live. Right now on the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show, hey, play that funky music, white boy.
Welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show. I am Captain Fizz.
And I, of course, from the Seventh Moon of Thunder itself, am El Hombre Loco Enmascarado, better known simply as that Mask Guy.
So, tonight's episode is brought to you by our very lovely sponsor, that Mask Guy's wife.
Yes, and the reason why we say that she's the sponsor is because she lets me come and do the show.
Yes, it's the one day he's let out of the doghouse.
Yes, okay.
I call your house the doghouse because you have a dog and it's a house there and it's run by the dog.
No, it's not. She just lays outside all day.
Besides the point. Anyways, so Disney live action. So it basically all our classic favorite Disney movies being turned into live action movies.
Yes.
Which basically to me sounds like literal garbage.
Well, everything old is new again? I'm not really sure what to say about this.
It's not so much old as new. Like I as we've all discussed many, many times, we are not against old movies being made new. You know, in the contrary, I love seeing new ideas. But turning an animated movie into, live action, just especially one that was a classic as is, it was best known for, being the animated movie it was. To turn it live action, it ruins the storyline.
I don't know. I was really frustrated. I think the movie Mirror Mirror, starring Julia Roberts, and I think it was David Bowie's daughter. I think it was David Bowie. Maybe it was. Who cares? It was someone's daughter.
It didn't even make my list of movies I was looking up.
Well, and I think that was through Disney, and that movie wasn't that great. Snow White and the Huntsman, which starred that chick from those movies with the vampires.
The one who slept with the director to get the job.
Yeah. That one was a much better movie. But,
still not not up to par what the movie should be.
I don't know. I thought that movie actually was pretty good. But then Maleficent came out a couple of years ago, and I was completely angry because they went off and took one of the greatest Disney villains of all time
and gave her a heart.
And they gave her a heart, yeah. And I just this is disgusting.
Going back to Snow White and the Huntsman, I do have to say the reason why that movie was good is because, and why I really wasn't against that movie except for the acting issues. Is the creative freedom on there. They didn't follow the Snow White storyline. They went with a different direction. And that is what I really want to see. Unfortunately, with all these coming up, live action movies, it's not. They're following the storyline, which is the issue.
Yeah. Again, I thought The Huntsman was great for a number of reasons. In that movie, there actually was 8 dwarfs, not 7 dwarfs. Although we discovered why the myth came to be, the 7 dwarfs, because one of them dies. Huge spoiler.
He was eaten by the rest.
I don't know, he just died. Who cares?
One of the dwarfs died.
One of the dwarfs died. Boo-hoo-hoo. Although I do like that, because I believe that was... Is
that why Grumpy is grumpy?
That might be. But, no, I don't know. Anyways, it just... seems kind of lame. You'll lose names when you see a movie like that.
Yeah,
But
I wasn't a big fan of the animated version of Snow White.
you know what? That was their first, classic. That was the first movie, full length animated film. It won Oscars and everything, which back then actually meant something.
Yes, I don't always agree with Disney, and when I do, I rarely admit it.
Of course, we're talking about the Academy here, and they went off and gave Shirley Temple a miniature Oscar. So that just tells you just how credible, the Academy is when they go off and do something like that.
So yeah, I definitely agree. And this show is basically based off of the news that they are doing a live action The Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book, which I think there's actually another movie coming out with another studio that's also doing The Jungle Book. And it's, Roger Kipling's story of The Jungle Book. I mean, it's public domain now, so anyone can go off and can do a movie based off The Jungle Book. Same with The Wizard of Oz, same with, a lot of the stories that we're going to see along here. Although, I know here in Winnipeg, we used to have the Winnie the Pooh Friendship Day at our main park.
We will talk about that atrocity later in the show.
But I'm just going off and bringing it up. Walt Disney put a halt to that, and we've had to go off and change it completely to another theme.
Yes, it's now the We Love Everybody Day.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways, this year, 2014, Maleficent came out. It was really good until it started.
Pretty much, yeah.
2015, Cinderella, live action Cinderella. Not really kind of a new aspect on that one. That one's been done so many times, but not actually called Cinderella.
Well, I mean, I think we saw Ever After several years ago with Drew Barrymore.
There was also Enchanted and different things like that. All those along the same basic line.
Yeah.
We've seen live action 101 Dalmatians.
Which were good.
Yeah.
Glenn Close. I can't even say the poor woman's name. Glenn Close was absolutely fabulous as Cruella de Vil.
We've seen live action Peter Pan, which is really nothing new.
Nothing new. I mean, they've been doing stage play based off that for years as well.
They're also doing a new movie coming out called Pan, which is basically the origins of Peter Pan, which is does look quite entertaining.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an interesting movie because not only we find out about Peter Pan, we also find the origins of James Hook,
who actually in this movie almost seems like Captain Hook and Peter Pan are friends.
So I kind of get the impression that during that movie we'll find out why there's such blood hatred between these two. What I'm most interested in this movie is Hugh Jackman playing, I think it's Blackbeard. I think that's who it is.
Yeah.
And I'm actually excited because he looks awesome in this movie so far.
You want to know what I'm most excited about for Pan?
Let me guess. The mermaids.
No, the crocodile.
The crocodile. Yeah, the crocodile.
The crocodile storyline is the one thing about Peter Pan I have always loved because you never know when to expect it. Yeah. When they first mentioned Pan, I started watching it. And it's like, okay, nothing. And all of a sudden, the crocodile and a ticking clock.
Yep.
Yeah, so the definitely classic Peter Pan, Captain Hook. So it's technically not been done before, but they are doing the BFG into a live-action movie.
Yeah, well, it doesn't quite fit into this theme.
I don't care. It's worth mentioning. It was a classic book.
Yeah, it was one of Roald Dahl's most beloved books.
And if you don't know what BFG stands for, it's Big Friendly Giant.
And I suggest you pick that book up, read it to your kids because it's an awesome read.
Yes, and then when you're done reading it to your kids, read it again.
Exactly.
So they're also doing a Beauty and the Beast live action. Now
that's starring Emma Watson from the Harry Potter movies as
which
Belle.
Is the only reason I may actually watch that movie. Emma Watson in everything is worth watching, or anything.
And this is another one of those public domain things that has been done a lot. There's a TV series starring one of the I can't remember what her name is, but she did Lana Lang on Smallville. There was also a TV series several years ago, and they've done many different movies and TV specials based off it. Shoot, Jim Henson in his Storyteller series went off and did a version of this story back in the 1980s, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, interesting enough, there's also another movie that is kind of based off the whole Beauty and the Beast scenario without actually, copying the whole Beauty and the Beast, and it's called Beastly. Basically, a young woman falls in love with a beast. It's a very interesting aspect, so it kind of follows the same line as Beauty and the Beast.
It is Beauty and the Beast, and one of the Olsen twins is in it as a witch who curses this guy.
Yes, and actually, I had to watch it 4 times before I actually realized who she was, and I still didn't believe it.
But honestly, it doesn't really matter to me, because if it isn't Elizabeth Olsen, I don't care, which Olsen it is. She's got more talent in her pinky finger than her twin sisters do.
You know what? I am neither going to disagree nor agree with you, because who's Elizabeth Olsen?
Scarlet Witch from Avengers 2.
I have yet to see Avengers 2.
Well, that's your problem. She's also been in a lot of other well-received movies as well.
Did I receive said movies?
You know what? Your taste in movies is questionable at best, so you know what? I go...
My taste in anything is questionable
yes,
at best.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to go to the to-be-announced list. Now, we're going to spend some time talking about each movie. We are each going to voice our opinions on said movie and proceed to whack each other in the face. The first movie on our debate list is Cruella.
I don't understand why they even are bothering. Like, how can you do any better than they did in the live action of 101 Dalmatians that they did back in the 90s? I don't understand how you can do any better than that.
See, and I definitely agree. The only thing that, and there's no details about any of these movies we're going to be discussing. We're pretty much guessing at this point. Some of these movies may never make it. Some of these movies may make it more than we want them to. But my guess on the version of Cruella that they're going to go with isn't the older version. I think maybe it's showing how Cruella became the woman she was and why she wanted to skin the 101 Dalmatians.
Well, I was, interestingly enough, just a couple of days ago, I was watching the latest episode of Cracked After Hours, and they brought up, the story of 100 Dalmatians, and you have got Cruella and how she was the schoolmate of the woman that owns these dogs. And, how is it that she went off and she went on to become rich and powerful? Meanwhile, the woman here and her husband, they're poor. They can barely take care of themselves, let alone 2 grown Dalmatians and 15 puppies.
Yeah, I really hope they go with that whole origin route. And, you look at some of these other movies that are coming out. They are really touching on origin bases this year. So it's kind of an interesting theory that maybe they will also continue this route for this movie. So we're going to move on to the second movie, which is Tink. Which is basically, if you don't know who Tink is, you seriously have something wrong with your head. And I suggest going to the nearest sink, finding a hammer, and questioning why the hammer is in your sink.
Well, I mean, there's some people, they hear Tink and they, realize, oh no, I guess I have to go to the bathroom. So
that's Tinkle, not Tink. So Tink is Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell, yeah.
Which, you know what, Tinkerbell has been done so many times, but not really as live action. So it's kind of interesting, the aspect of it. Now, are we going to go with the movie Peter Pan Tinkerbell? Or are we going to go with the cartoon TV shows Tinkerbell?
I'm assuming we're gonna go off and we're gonna go with the Tinkerbell